everybody, welcome to Go Green Compost. I'm Andrew and this is my assistant Penelope.
Hi.
Today we're going to be talking about propagating blueberry bushes. Now this is something that I've attempted for a while and I wasn't successful with it until I checked out this book, The DK Guide to Propagating Plants. What I'd been doing in the past was I was taking blueberry cuttings and I was trying to propagate them by placing them in sand. Now that's worked with a lot of other plants. I propagated my blackberries, my mint, my lemon balm. Lots of other plants work very well when you just stick them in sand, but my blueberry cuttings always just seem to die. So I checked out this book, which by the way is a great guide to propagating plants. If you'd like to learn more about that, I'll put a link down in the description. And this book recommended rooting the blueberry cuttings rather than using sand. It recommended a mixture of peat moss and perlite. And so that's what I've got here today. This is a half and half mix of perlite and peat moss, and I've already moistened it. And behind me here, I've got my blueberry bushes. Now these are sharp blue blueberries. It's a variety of blueberry that was introduced by the University of Florida in 1976. And it's a great type of blueberry for my climate here in North Florida. It doesn't require a lot of chill hours in the winter. And so what that means is it doesn't need a lot of time in the cold over the winter in order to produce fruit in the spring. Now, earlier this spring, this bush actually did produce quite a bit of nice berries, but it's pretty much done with that now. So today I'm going to take some cuttings and I'm going to place them in my peat moss mixture to take root. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have a nice, clean, sharp pair of cutters so that you don't traumatize the cutting more than is necessary. And what you want to do is just find some new growth like this here. Take a cutting that is a few inches long, and then you'll want to strip off several of the bottom leaves to give you a nice exposed stem. But you don't want to take all the leaves off. You want to keep some of those. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just dip it in some water. I've got my watering can here. And then I'm going to take this garden safe rooting hormone, dip my cutting in there, and that's just a compound that is going to encourage this cutting to take root. And then next, I'll take my mixture of peat moss and perlite here, and using my finger, I'm just going to create a little hole. You don't want to just shove this into the mixture, as that can cause some additional trauma to the cutting. Place it nicely in that hole, and then just tamp down very gently the mixture around the base of it. And you'll see that that'll just sit in there nicely. This is already pre-moistened, and you can place several cuttings in a pot that size, maybe 10, 15 cuttings. You can put them pretty closely to one another. And now, scoot over, kiddo. I am just going to take my watering can here and give it a gentle watering. And that'll serve two purposes. That will give the cutting some water, which will keep it hydrated and help it to develop roots, but also it will take out any air spaces that are still around the base of that cutting. Now what you want to do is you want to take a pot like this, and like I said, you could put several cuttings in a pot this size, and you want to put it somewhere warm, somewhat humid. Probably going to need to water it every day if you're in a hot climate like I am. And where I put these is on a shelf inside of a small green. We do live in North Florida. It's pretty hot here. I'll take this and I'll put this on a shelf inside of a small greenhouse structure that I have next to my shed, which is shaded throughout most of the day. So typically that area won't receive any direct sunlight. It will receive indirect sunlight throughout the day, and that's what you want, because this cutting is going to need to be in a sheltered environment, one where it's not getting too hot, one where it's not getting too dry. You're going to want to keep that peat moss and perlite mixture fairly moist, and then in a few weeks you can come back and very gently check, and this may have developed roots. Now you might still lose a few cuttings, however I have had pretty good success using this mixture that was recommended in that DK book on plant propagation, and I hope that you do too. Let me know if you've propagated blueberries and what your success and failures have been like with that, and I hope I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Go Green Compost.